Jamie Finn, is the algorithm confirmed? The opponent stays in, then pivot into Licky, far too thicky, and the opponent is completely core broken. Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be showcasing a team that I was able to go on a perfect 5-0 run with, and let me tell you, you will not see this kind of spice anywhere else, except maybe on Calamonto's channel, but that's besides the point. I maxed out a Shadow Golett. Why? Because if I don't showcase it, where else are you going to see this Pokemon in action? Unfortunately for me, a Golett is somewhat of a feast or famine Pokemon where you're going to win really hard or lose really hard. It's absolutely awful into all the common flying types to the backline. We've gone with 2 anti-flyers. However, this team composition itself is kind of funky. We've got so many dual weaknesses. And if I'm being brutally honest, it makes zero sense whatsoever. But sometimes them teams are the best teams. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we are not off to the best start, seeing Firo in the lead position. I throw 3 mod slaps, bank some energy, and say, Cradily, go quickly. The opponent stays in, looking to go for some chipping action. One of the downsides of going for 3 mod slaps first, I could actually lose all of my Cradily if the opponent opts to throw back to back. What they actually do is throw 1, and then send out 9-tails, essentially just trying to keep it away from Golett. It looks like I'd be able to acid farm them down before they ember farm me down, as they do opt to dump energy. And after dumping that energy, Golett is going to be able to come in and get that full mod slap farm down. We look to make use of the misaligned timers, banking our energy and sending out Piloswine. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that I will be shielding absolutely everything the opponent stays in, and very quickly force myself all shields down. The opponent still with 2 behind, not wish to concede a farm down, send out Gorgeist. I farm up, I'm now at the double. And I'm really hoping the opponent looks to throw back to back. And I hope I win CMP. The opponent actually take the extra. We give the opponent a full free incinerate. I'm going to throw 1. Look to snipe. The opponent not falling for any of that shenanigans. Catch my Piloswine. But this game is over. They full expend the Shadow Ball. Was it unnecessary? Definitely not. But Jamie Finn will be off to a 1-0 start. Shadow Punch. Able to move Gorgeist from the field of play. Back out comes Firo. I'm not going to be disrespectful and go for the double resisted Shadow Punch. We fire off the Brick Break and take that game. I actually thought to myself, I don't go for some bad manners, maybe we won't find a massive core break on the lead of the next battle. But here we are. Quagsire is a huge problem for me. Whilst Brick Break would lower their defense, I'm actually going to go for the Shadow Punch, hoping if I land it, I'll be able to mod slap farm down afterwards. The opponent invests that Protect Shield. We're able to make the catch and the sneak onto Cradily. The opponent fire off the Aqua Tail. They're going to stay in, rebank an Aqua Tail, and we see the world's most bloody boring matchup with Cradily versus Cradily. Essentially, I'm like, I'll debuff you, and they're like, I see your debuff, have one of your own. And this is such a bloody boring matchup to watch and also to play. I think this is why I'll never be able to shoutcast or play Pokemon. And them casters trying to make out a matchup with this. There's plenty of high-tech stuff going on. There's not, but here's the high-tech play. Get Snipe Trainer Golett, able to mod slap farm down, leaving with the charge move to throw on CMP, winning CMP, and strip away the final Protect Shield off this Quagsire. And we're actually looking alright here, to be honest. Depends what's in the back. We do have a shield advantage and a Piloswine. What could go wrong? Piloswine. Come on, buddy. It's your time to swine. Piloswine hits the field of play. Out comes Skeledurge. I see everyone running Stone Edge. However, if he was on Stone Edge, you'd lose. Jamie Finn, the absolute Giga Chad, on high horsepower, get that Skeledurge off my screen. Back out comes Quagsire, just to rub a little bit of salt in them wounds. Have a catch onto Cradily. Was it necessary? No, it bloody wasn't. But I didn't beat him in the last battle. We still got a shit lead, so you may as well go for style points. GG's, and thanks for playing. I'd like to welcome you all to the Jamie Finn show, which essentially is a shit show from start to finish. Finally, we see a fantastic lead and a pretty decent save swap too. I'm actually going to throw some energy, and I've already decided that I'm going to double shield and be super basic and just play for alignment. I haven't seen too many Unova Stunfisk, aka the Pancake, running around in this meta, and I think it's quite apparent to see why. Yes, there's some flying types, but Firo has access to Drill Run. Pidgeot's kind of common, I guess you hardball that, but pretty much everything else in the meta absolutely claps it. Kind of surprised not to see the Pancake return and essentially get sacrificed, but the opponent actually sent out Licky, far too thicky. Look to get an energy lead, but what they actually do is end up over farming, miscounting my energy, play to the charge attack priority. They do not win. A shout out to Home Size Henry, and this game is completely over. At the time of playing this battle, I thought to myself, as soon as I show them Cradily, they're going to resign the match. But clearly the opponent wants that work, and who am I not to give it to him? Cradily going to continue to farm up. The opponent just settles to the body slam, and Trainer, that definitely isn't going to cut it. Licky hits like a wet noodle, and body slam is resisted. The opponent recognises they're going to get farmed down, eventually make the pivot. They end up eating the grass knot. Quick switch into Golett. Golett gets the mud slap snipe, and you better believe we're about to BM double resisted shadow punch Licky. But much to my disappointment, the opponent finally conceded the match. In the next battle, Jamie Finn is the algorithm confirmed. Seeing the absolute dream lead, the opponent once again pivots into Fero, and you know we're going for that one shield. I say one shield, double shield. What I mean to say, if I can actually spit my words out, force one shield, double shield myself, and then if the snail returns, you know we're going to fucking high horsepower it. There is no baiting on this channel. Come on, bring it out, trainer. Come on, send it out. I'm running stoners, I promise there's nothing to fear. Back out comes the snail. We've got high horsepower, and the question now becomes, does the opponent respect the damage? Bang! There it is! Get that snail off my screen. The world's smallest quagsire enters the arena, says, "Mommy, Daddy, help!" and they concede the match. Oof, we advanced to 4-0 in the set. I was absolutely buzzing at this point. And then I saw Piloswine in the lead. I very quickly crashed down to reality. The opponent throws on alignment, give me a slim but fighting chance. Piloswine is such a core breaker. We're able to force that protect shield back. The opponent reset the debuff. Attempt to snipe with Ferret. Snipe attempt unsuccessful. We keep Golett at very low health. Essentially nothing more than a sacrificial swap. Ferret again, a massive problem to be honest. It's able to hit my backline for super effective. The sucker punches hit Golett for super effective. Jamie, what are you thinking with this team build? I think that's often my problem to be honest. I don't really think. I just put a load of Pokemon I like the look of on the same team. Go to battle and hope for the quite a high IQ player if I do say so myself. As I survived, I stopped tapping to get one extra powder stone's worth of energy, farming down Ferret. I'm going to invest the final protect shield, blocking up the incoming Icicle Sphere that does hit for neutral and a lot of neutral damage at that, but out comes a Rangaroo. Again, we're going to YOLO the nuke, hoping the opponent looks to no shield. Unfortunately, they do invest that protect shield, but stay in school, kids, and learn to count. Remember me, trainer. Golett used as the third shield. Can we still win this battle? Will high horsepower once again be that get out of jail free card? The high horsepower's locked and loaded. Yet another one-hit KO. Can the opponent Powder Stone farm me down? Before we reach the Icicle Sphere, they cannot. What an absolutely epic endgame. Jamie Finn's back, baby. GG's, and thanks for playing. I feel like most people, when you get a massive 5-0 or a spice pick like a 1,334 CP Golett, would probably be like, let's retire the team. However, we're going to advance on. And do things keep going as well? Well, I guess you're going to have to find out. Awful Eden, despite catching the opponent in that gust animation. We end up playing to a CMP tile. We do not win. I was thinking, the non-shadow, surely we survive. But unfortunately, we did not. And this game is looking awful. I thought to myself, I'll just two-shield my own Piloswine. However, I can't really do that as they were still in the green and that just wouldn't be a path forward. So I actually go for the undercharge, get a cheeky run and start. Is that going to help me? There's an obstacle and I'm just conceding. Fuck me, that was hard counter city. In the next battle, we see Cradily in the lead position. The thing with Cradily users, they love to spam moves on alignment to force a debuff first. I'm turning into a Cradily user myself. I force that debuff and then pivot out. Looks like the opponent going to force a debuff on me, and I imagine look to pivot out. What I'm actually going to do here is throw the grass knot, because in my head I thought they're going to try and send in a mud boy and they're going to be straight in and straight out. What they actually did is remain on my screen, and despite grass knot hitting harder than a rock tomb, it isn't actually lethal. The opponent go for their own grass knot and then stop with a Rangaroo. As I'm watching these battles back, the more I'm thinking to myself, God, I built a shit team. There are so many dual weaknesses. Both Rangaroos charging hit Golett for super effective. The Trailblaze will also hit my Piloswine for super effective. We're just going to throw out Golett here and not reveal the third yet. I'm thinking, if the opponent's running a more conventional team than me, they've probably got a flyer in the back with another anti-fighter. They definitely need something to deal with like Obstagoon. There is the flyer, but unfortunately, we pace at the same speed and Piloswine cannot tank a hit. I need the opponent to try and make a catch on the low health Cradily and hope I get off 2 Powder Snows. We only get off 1, and the opponent actually played this endgame really smart. They're now receiving the energy for the Drill Peck. We've got the charge move. I know I lose CMP, hence I'm spamming the switch there, but unfortunately switch timer isn't quite up. Drill Peck knocks us out, and the opponent is going to take a very well played game. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle, see the Fire Snail in the lead position. The opponent stays in, throw 1 Incinerate. Take 2 mud slaps and do a third of their health and pivot into Licky, far too thicky, and the opponent is completely core broken. I rebank some energy and send out Piloswine. You can already tell what I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking this is going to be another fucking snail that's hit with that high horsepower they aren't expecting. But unfortunately for me, as I've taken 2 mod slaps that did crazy damage, potentially even a stone and be lethal, so they might actually shield. Of course I hope they don't, but let's see. We're left insanely low, which is perfect for me, meaning the opponent gets less farm. Does this opponent respect the damage? Oh, what a spoil sport. This is probably going to be the Rock Tomb bait. If I get overheated to the face, I'm never ever, as is farming down that snail. The opponent then sends out Blaziken. Holy schmoly, look at the damage. We're going to fire off the Brick Break, force the Protect Shield, quick switch into Cradily, and we're going to sacrifice Cradily to the Pokegods. The opponent actually on Blaze Kick. Blaze Kick doesn't get the job done. We're able to Acid Farm down. Back out comes the Fire Snail. Cradily going to reach the Grass Knot. Hits for neutral, but it's still going to get the job done. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we'll see some Shadow and Shadow Crime with our little Golett versus a massive looking Garchomp. Do I survive a Sand Tomb? I'll be honest, I don't know, but I'm going to say yes. Oof, that was calculated. That was actually a little too close for comfort. We fire off the Brick Break, goes unshielded, and attempt to snipe down. We see a simultaneous swap with both trainers with the same idea. We see Piloswine versus Piloswine. The opponent reluctant shield the Ice Sphere. And I'm now thinking, do 5 Powder Snows knock out? Again, I'm going to say yes. Is that the case? Oh my gosh, we get that perfect farm down. Let's go, baby. Garchomp going to be nothing but a sacrificial swap. The opponent sends out Obstagoon. Oof. Not what we wanted to see. We're going to fire off the Ice Sphere, make the pivot into Cradily. I think it's actually advantageous that they're Shadow, because these acids are actually doing quite a lot. Yes, the counter's doing a lot, but I think I only need 1 move. The opponent goes for the catch attempt, unsuccessful. We're instantly going to debuff Obstagoon, lowering their damage output. Rock Tomb forces the opponent a final protection. The opponent is going to be forced to throw, because if they don't throw, we're going to Grass Knot them to their face. The opponent fire off the Cross Chop. Piloswine now, as they're at -1, able to survive the counter, able to reach the Sphere, and I have no doubt Sphere is going to be all she wrote. GG's that opponent, very cool team. In the next battle, we see a fantastic lead. This time, we're in Feast mode, not Famine mode. The opponent pivots out into Swampert. I fire off the Brick Break. I think an argument should have made. I should have held my energy, just sent out Cradily, to be honest, as Grass Knot, double super effective, and of course, would be a clean 1-hit KO. As the opponent shielded the first Brick Break, we're going to fire off Brick Break number 2, which will leave him low, and then look to pivot into Cradily and get the resisted acid farm down and a cheeky running start too. I've heavily misaligned the switch timers. The opponent then sends out a Bullet Seed Cradily. Whilst I am able to reach this Rock Tomb on CMP, winning CMP, I'm now depleting my energy, so the opponents are likely going to fire off a charge move and then snipe me with the Fire Snail, and they do exactly that, and much to my disappointment, they actually get 2 Incinerates, meaning they're 1 off the back-to-back. The opponent recognise they can survive 2 mod slaps and farm up all the way to the back-to-back. That actually makes my life kind of easy. Golett has done its job. We can send out Piloswine. We're going to tank the Rock Tomb, knowing it's going to do less than a Grass Knot. We're actually able to Power Slow farm down before the Incinerate registers, getting the running start we need to win this battle. The Bullet Seeds are super effective, as are the Powder Snows. Piloswine isn't going to get Bullet Seed farm down before we're able to win the battle. I'm not entirely sure what the opponent's playing it out, but we're going to give him the high horsepower, which is very, very unnecessary, but kind of funny, I guess. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Bloody Quagsire. Thankfully, on Mudshot, I think Mudshot's definitely the better move to go for. Water Guns are pretty trash. But I did hear a little rumour that Home Size Henry's about a Water Gun Quag team. So if you want to play this cup for the final day, just run something like Chestnut. Completely RPS, all Henry's fan club, and you're just going to get free low. Returning to the commentary, the opponent attempted to catch a Shadow Punch onto Fero. All they actually caught was a neutral Brick Break, lowering their defense, meaning Piloswine gets a full Powder Snow farm down. Quagsire is 1 off the move, so if they return with Quag, we're going to 1 and throw. Out comes a Rangaroo. I wasn't entirely sure I survived the confusion. I actually did, so I could have committed to the high horsepower, but regardless, we force our Protect Shield back. Poor old Golett, not looking too hot in this battle, to be honest. They're 1 off an Aqua Tail, a Rangaroo with Brutal Swing and Trailblaze. Everything's going to hit little Golett for super effective. I need to try and manage my energy well. I tank another Brutal Swing. Back out comes Quagsire. They fire off the 1 Mud Shot, winning CMP, and I'm forced to shield as well. I cannot let go of this energy. You see here I go for an undercharge. Anticipating the no shield, the opponent actually does shield. We overfarm as much as we physically can. I don't think we survive the confusion to reach a charge move. I very quickly recognise it, end up transferring the confusion onto Golett, but the opponent is able to outpace. Do we survive one confusion to get to the charge move? Oh, we're even further away than I thought, and unfortunately we can't get it done. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the final battle of today's video, we see Obstagoon in the lead position. The counters are double resisted, the Night Slash is super effective, so I guess it'd be a good idea that you shield the charge move. Often you hear people say you shouldn't shield the first one in case they get the boost. Honestly, you think Golett tanks anything that's super effective? It does not. The opponent sends out a Rangaroo. I actually intentionally brick break, because I saw last battle this thing is so bloody bulky and quite difficult to get rid of. After forcing a debuff, you can see that Acids will put in a range where one single charge move will knock them out. What I'm actually going to look to do is farm up all the way to 100 energy and leave myself as low as possible, ensuring that if Obstagoon returns, it's going to get minimal farm. Obstagoon does return. I'm intentionally Rock Tombing, knocks him on the debuff because it does less. I'm going to attempt to snipe with Piloswine. The opponent actually anticipate that play, sending out Fearow. And we should be looking pretty hot here, to be honest. I'm just going to look to fully Powder Snow farm them all the way down. Oh, I can't even see the HP. We should be good here. They're going to get double resisted. Mud Slap farmed all the way down. And as long as they don't reach a Night Slash, we are looking golden. Back out comes Obstagoon. The opponent does reach the Night Slash, but stay in school, kids, and learn to count. There's still time for one more back-breaking catch onto Cradily. We fire off the triple resisted Shadow Punch to end the video, and we're going to take that game. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's video. Of course, would I recommend this team? Probably not. It's more for entertainment purpose only. However, I think there's some things to note. Just because the team doesn't make that much sense doesn't mean you can't win. I personally took around 6 months off the game, and trying to use these tricky teams does force me to try and lock in and play somewhat better. I think sometimes it's more about having fun than just running something boring and just trying to grind wins. But that's my opinion. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.